What's up, everybody? This is Enlightened Masculinity. I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, and also founder of Enlightened Masculinity podcast. So this is like episode 200 something, and we're going strong. It's been the best month ever, statistically, and this is a Red Pill channel, you could say, Red Pill podcast, specifically about masculinity. And, you know, because I live with the foremost relationship expert on the planet, and I'm seeing the genetic code, the behavior between men and women, it's being written. Like he's writing the code and I'm writing it down. I'm taking notes, and I've got hundreds of pages of this genetic code. So I have two guests, Josiah, aka IMC Cygnus, if you ever see his name, IMC Cygnus, and Gavin Hairgrove. And they're both students of, you know, we're at different time tracks here, who's been around longer, done more programs or whatever. But they also train with me in the Yoga for Sorcery program, and they're experts in their own fields. I've had Josiah on before as a flow artist, and he's been a student of AZD for a long time. And Gavin Hairgrove comes with an extensive background, and not the least of which is music and sorcery. And so he's in Yoga for Sorcery, which is specifically yoga designed for the sorcerer, the mentalist, the meditation practitioner. And Josiah is also in this. Part of their training with AZD is also the calisthenics that you hear us talk about on the show so much. So I want to get their take on how the evolution's been. And seniority goes first, so I'll just check in with Josiah from Hawaii. What's going on with you, man? You're like 2 or 3 hours behind us, so it's still like mid-afternoon, midday. You know, what's it like there?
So I've been studying AZD for quite some time. I'd say a little over 5 years, when he was still doing the pack, and then that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And as of lately, everybody who's in IMC has been on this beast process. Yeah. And I've been studying yoga under you, and the change has been basically phenomenal. So to give more clarification, when I first started yoga, I just had a basic idea like, you know, stretch. Okay, I feel good now. And to me at that time, that was what yoga was. But after studying more under AZD as well as you with the whole yoga thing, there's more expansion, like not just with flexibility, because of course you're stretching your body, you're pushing your limits, so to speak, but even with the mindset of things on like how you're viewing your yoga, how you're viewing just life in general. So for example, when we're doing yoga and you're giving instructions, you're not only giving instructions on how to like stretch farther, like how to do the posture correctly. It's more of like a mindset thing, and it ripples throughout the world. You know, I have my own process where I do yoga when no one's around, and by the time I come out and either go to work or just do whatever I do, there's a different filter that's placed upon me, a more, I guess you can say, a more relaxed kind of filter. And when this is combined with the calisthenics of, you know, beasting out and working out, building up the body, building up the mind, it's just I'd say it's a deadly combination. Very good.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. Right on. And we'll get to that. I want to ask more questions about that. Gavin, what's up with you, man? You know, I've seen your mass grow. I mean, you're getting thicker, and your arms, as you've been beasting, going to the gym, and, you know, got some trainers, and you really like turned your life around from being a real skinny, kind of pale white guy to now you're like buff, real intimidating as someone. And then you got into yoga. You were already a mentalist. Like, what's it been like for you getting into this process?
Well, first of all, Yogi, Chris, I appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's an honor.
Yeah.
But I have a whole lot I want to say right now, just like kind of jumbled in my head. So hopefully I can get it all out in a non fucked off manner. But,
yeah, man.
So I guess I was already I'd already like gotten into the training and was doing burpees and stuff before I really started studying with the AZD. Now, I remember a lot of you guys were shocked to find out that I had never like read the mystery method, or I wasn't like really familiar with pickup.
Yeah.
And that's because the relationship aspect really wasn't what intrigued me about AZD. It was more like his new middle name. You know, that's kind of like the aspect that I'm more interested in. And I wanted I know he's like the greatest living example of somebody. Yeah, exactly. I don't remember what fucking number it is. I think it's like 14 or something.
Demon of Goetian tradition.
16, that's right. Exactly.
It's a little lag. I was trying to jump in there.
Oh, my bad. Oh yeah, but anyways, yeah. So yeah, from what I understand, he's like the best living example of like a pact of that nature, like someone who's able to wield that power without like allowing it to just completely destroy them. So that's kind of like the avenue that I came in from. And
Is that what Frank White says?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right on. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I wouldn't know. So that, I mean, I believe it because he's like the Michael Jordan of this thing. So, I mean, how many Michael Jordans of different subjects are there in the world? And so AZD is the Michael Jordan of this, or even beyond that, really. He's like the Elon Musk of this. So there's like, so then it would be to say that like, if Elon Musk had done a pact with a demon of engineering, and so he's the best living example of it, like, but they probably didn't. I don't know. So I think,
Exactly.
can dig it.
But yeah, I know a lot of the AZD or the IMC guys will like come to AZD first and then they discover Frank White through that way. I kind of like went the reverse way through that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that, and that's really interesting. Your frame on things, I like hearing about it.
Yeah, most definitely. Where was I going to go after that? But yeah,
You're
so
saying you were most intrigued by his middle name.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, I've been incorporating the beasting process as far as like adding the cold showers, the sleeping on the floor, and that's been it's been monumental in helping me like develop some balls, you know. But my biggest sticking point has been my as you're well aware, my fucking all the tension in my body.
Yeah.
And that's not only like that inhibits you like just in so many ways, and like you know how they say like as within so without. It's like a tight body equates a tight mind, and so that's where this program is starting to be like incredibly beneficial.
I'm seeing that more, even hearing you talk. This is great because Ninth Limb Yoga was always the yoga of communication, and you know, tension inhibits that. You know, and it's amazing when I see someone that's a good communicator like you, I think, and but you do have tension. So I just wonder how much better you would be even with just a little bit, you know, I don't know. It's intriguing to me how the influence of like body tension on our communication, especially if it's like a kind of a chronic body tension that we're just always living with. So we don't even notice it anymore because it's like we just always have it. And then, you know, how monumental, like you said, how monumental it is to release that tension, and just the person observes their, like Josiah was saying, it's like, it's like, it is a relaxed filter. I think it's the absence of the tense filter. It's just the absence of more filter. So it's more, that's the goal really, or one of the goals is like more clear seeing reality as it is. So less and less filter. Tension seems to have a filter. Body aches, body pain adds a filter to like what we're seeing. Agitations, like if we're lactose intolerant, we drank too much milk, or we overdosed on something, we did too much coffee, and we're all and it that puts a filter on our perceptions. And so like finding equanimity would find like clear seeing what it is. And so that's great.
Yep. One of the first things I learned from Frank is that our memories and shit, they're not stored in our brain, they're stored in our body as muscle tension. And so like through stretching that out, we're able to like release negative I mean, you talk about this all the time too, like release negative thought patterns and shit like that. Yeah. When I've been doing your yoga exercises, I've developed this visual. Like, have you seen the movie Hellraiser, right?
Hellraiser?
Yeah, like with Pinhead and shit.
Like Pinhead? Who's Pinhead?
You've never seen Hellraiser? Like the horror movie?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, okay, this won't make much sense to you then, but in the movie, basically like they open this box and it summons these demons up from hell, and they like these chains come out of nowhere and just like rip at people's flesh and shit.
Oh.
And the visual that I've had is like how just all the negative thoughts and stuff are just kind of like those chains, just like fucking ripping at the flesh of my soul, so to speak. And then through doing these yoga practices, like the stretching and the breathing, it's like you're like loosening the fabric and allowing those chains to like release. So if anyone's seen the fucking movie, that'll make more sense. But
yeah, I will look up some references for that on YouTube clips. And it's not so inaccurate, really. We don't talk much about fascia, but it's a term that you'll hear more and more as you get into body stuff. Even, I mean, they'll probably even talk about it in bodybuilding, but definitely like yoga, massage, chiropractic, and all the wellness things that deal with the tissues in Western science, maybe not Eastern science, but they'll talk about fascia as this like connected, it's like a webbing. It's like a cheesecloth, almost like a webbing or like a burlap sack or something. Nah, burlap would be too thick. It's like a mesh or something that kind of interpenetrates the muscle, the length of the muscle, and it wraps over it and it kind of keeps it all bundled together. And at the ends of it, it kind of, it squeezes out the muscle and it all comes together as a tendon. And then it connects to the bone. But that tendon is throughout the muscle and it opens up and it kind of ensheathes it is like the word. But so that stuff, it's very interesting because it kind of, it's like tendon and it becomes the fabric of the muscle that holds the muscle is a different, the muscle cell is different from the fascia cell. Like one is connective tissue, one is muscle. And it goes through the belly of the muscle, and on the other end, it comes back together as tendon again. And then that tendon kind of continues. It communicates electrical signals to the next tendon. It just becomes the next tendon. So the muscles of the body kind of connect. And so as you release, you'll feel something release here as you stretch, and you'll feel it like in your toes or something. There's this electric signal that shoots through. It's different from the nervous system. So, you get kind of sensitive to that stuff. And it gets sticky, so it sticks. And as you stretch, you feel that unstick, and you might even feel a pop, and you might even hear it. And so relieving. Man.
I remember, I've never heard that before until you said it, but it makes perfect sense about how if you eat a lot of like sticky shit in your diet, how that's going to make like all the tissues on the inside sticky as well. Mm-hmm. So there's like a novel concept for me, like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, these words are concepts. Like when you said monumental, what a concept. That's a great word. Monumental. It's like a monument. It's a mind monument. Get it? It's a mind monument, a monumental. Right?
Oh shit.
Yeah. Monuments in the mind. So right on. Josiah, man, been beasting. Everybody's been beasting. We got a bunch of beasts on here and do various yoga with us. Like Kenny Simmons is on. He's been tapping in with the yoga stuff. I know Miranda's certain kinds of things. Arslan probably not. I don't know. TXL, he's super, super tense. Got to get into that yoga, TXL. You know what I'm saying? You've been stretching? You've been stretching it off? Nah, little bit of the wrist. That's a good stretch, man. Yeah. Teaching me something on the show. So
you gotta teach TL how to battle rope the arms.
Dude. And everybody who comes here live, I'm gonna demonstrate it. I'm gonna grab one of the guys and show them how to battle rope the arms. That's great, man. You know, my idea about yoga was all about, I mean, there's something so attractive about being able to do certain poses. Like AZD was talking about in the gathering last night, he's calling me out for the bow pose. But I'm not doing the bow pose near what I used to do. I wish I had the picture example. Because if on the audio recording, you won't be able to see the picture. But, there were just certain flexibility, and I was like, so enticed by that. And the yearning, I would even call it, or the urge to want to stretch it out. I know what my body was capable of. I mean, in a lot of the joints of my body, I got to like this end range where the bones were touching each other. And it's like to go more, there's got to be some like real finagling that you do to open that joint, where you got to like contract certain muscles to open the joint to be able to get around something. And I don't know that that's worth it, because it gives so much slack to the connective tissue in between the joint that you got to always be mindful of your joint, because if you lose awareness of your alignment, things just kind of slip out. So flexible. I'm not trying to be a contortionist, but there are things like leg behind. Oh man, so pleasurable. Leg behind the head. I'm telling you what, if you can get past the intensity of the back stretch, or even things as simple as just like Gavin sitting cross-legged. Like what's so incredible about Josiah is he had these bones and he had open hips, and meaning like the thigh would externally rotate, would go out to the side. So we could sit cross-legged, practically sit lotus. Like, man, that's great. I don't know. That's such a disposition to be able to do this stuff, because, we want to open up like the pelvis and energy, and the spine and the pelvis has so much energy flow that what have you guys, do you guys meditate? This is open for everybody, but specifically Josiah and Gavin, has this influenced your meditation practice, like getting into yoga? And maybe describe a little bit about like what my yoga classes are like from your perspective, because I could pitch it, but have you done any other yoga ever, like in a studio or like online?
You want to go first,
So,
Josiah? Yeah.
have I ever done yoga before in any kind of studio or anything like that? No, I have not. If there was any yoga that I used to do, I guess I would consider like just basic stretching.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned how I was my hips being open and being able to sit in the lotus or whatnot, I believe that was like from wrestling, because we would stretch a lot, stretch arms, stretch legs. But then it was so limited to just those poses. So that's the only kind of stretch that I would be doing. And at this point, like I used to meditate. I don't know transcendental meditation just yet, but I would do the Om chanting or just sitting down for like a good 15 minutes and, just letting my thoughts run and go. And ever since taking your class or learning under you, I've been able to not just learn more poses, but hitting all those spots I never knew even really existed. Yeah. So there's this one pose where you have the block and you put it between your elbows and it activates here. Oh man, that benefited so much when I started doing pull-ups, which is part of the beast process. It was.
How did it benefit? Like, did it take away pain, or how did it benefit?
It took away pain, but it also kind of formed my posture a little bit better. Like I always had bad back posture.
Well, specifically for like the pull-up, like how did it benefit the pull-up?
It benefited inside a way where, so before when I was doing pull-ups or even chin-ups as well, my arms would be out like this as I'm pulling up. Okay. But then the way that you're teaching is isolated. Isolated muscle contraction, if I said that right. But it's in a way where you kind of make your form better to where it actually hits the necessary muscles where it needs to hit. Back then it was all just unaware, just doing basic stuff, thinking that I'm hitting the right spots when that's not even the case. And so more awareness is brought.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, it basically hits the back of the rotator cuff. So you learn how to externally rotate your humerus. So it locates your rotator cuff for you in your consciousness, and the movement just it helps you locate it. So then you're more aware of it. And whether or not it helps your pull-ups, it helped Josiah's pull-ups, it helps me in everything. But where it's going to be most profound for you, where it would help you, probably depends on you, your posture, muscles, and everything. So right on, that was dope.
That's just pull-ups.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, that's just pull-ups. I didn't even get into the push-ups yet.
Yeah, right. I mean, I actually probably should have introed it like that. We should have just talked Kenny's like, yeah, man, talk calisthenics. So Gavin, what's up, man? You meditate?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, before I get into that, I think everyone on here should get on the fucking program. Don't let the name deceive you. Like, I don't know, just your knowledge of like anatomy and your ability to explain it in a way that you just explain everything in a way that like makes it click in my brain. And it's like, I think everyone can benefit from it. It's not like just exclusive to people who are into the occult and whatnot. But,
yeah, the occult. I like that.
The occult. But yeah, bro, the biggest, I did have a meditative practice, but like you said, I always had all this tension in my body that I'd had it for so long that I wasn't even aware of it. So that was like limiting how deep I could go, I guess you could say. One of the main things I've noticed has been like my ability to feel like the flow of energy. Like I have a Reiki initiation, right? And after doing some of these yoga practices, I can feel it. Like it's a much more fucking tangible feeling. Like whenever the energy is flowing. And then also my ability, like when we meditate, we like invoke certain energies and to like try to build up a certain energetic quality in our system. Like I'm able to do like get a much more powerful effect after I've done like a little yoga session. It's
Oh
like
man,
it's like night and day almost. It's
Bro.
fucking crazy.
bro, I'm gonna just explode your superpowers, dude. Hearing you talk, processing what you're saying, dude. You're gonna explode as like you're gonna go from like baby Gohan to like Super Saiyan level 2 Gohan real fast. And you know why? Because it's like I was saying about communication, like to be able to communicate with that tension, be able to feel and generate energy, whatever. Like I was just thinking as you were talking, like the yoga for sorcery, because I'm teaching beast yoga now too for the beasts. So like that external rotation exercise, I'm sure we'll get to it in the beast yoga again. I mean, it's one of the most popular things. That's one of those movements that is like a $5,000 movement. If you tore your rotator cuff and you're having trouble, if you're struggling to reconstruct supraspinatus, maybe you had some surgery on the top of the rotator cuff there, that little top muscle under trapezius, or it's just been a nagging little half tear for a while. If you got neck pain, chronic neck pain, and you're squeezing your shoulder blades together or whatever, I know how to just like fix that. Like it's not surgery. I know how to like, but you know, most people, I mean, by the time they get to that point, they're going to go with the proven science. They're not going to go with some like esoteric physical therapy. They'll go to a physical therapist, but they'll most of the time fuck you up too. That's just what it is. Like, and I, you know, was looking at a lifetime of like, basically, you know, whatever. I don't want to make this about me, but what you were just saying, teach for you to be able to expand your breath and hold your breath repeatedly. You know, Wim Hof is pump, 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 hold, pump, 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 hold. Like what I'm saying is learn how to inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, or inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold. But to drag it out, lengthen it so that the exhale is like 10 seconds. But to get to that point, because you don't just start off with there, you go like all headache and fucking get all agitated trying to do your breath. You ease into it by relaxing the body. The tension relaxes so you consume less oxygen. You get to this place where, man, you generate so much space in your lungs, the tension in your rib cage is gone. So it's like, and you're like residing in there with your consciousness because you're counting for like 10 or 20 seconds. And so you're in the space and you're like meditating almost on air and like that as the subject or the monument of contemplation. And from there, because I don't know sorcery, so you know that stuff. I know from that space, like there's a lot of power in the word is called repose. A lot of power in repose, which is to like sit still, basically. And that goes for everybody. As you release tension and create space, like your thoughts have more power.
So it's like what they say, like using the breath to create that space in between like the stimulus and the response. And then as you increase the gap of that space, that's where you increase your power over the however you want to.
Yeah, because there's something in between the stimulus and the response. Because there's the stimulus and response, and there's a consciousness that's ignorant of that. And when you become aware of it, you like separate from the stimulus response. And you see the stimulus is a nerve reception or sensory neuron. The response is a motor neuron. And there's like a pathway in between that it does it with, and it goes through the brain, but in the brain or supposedly or whatever is like, there's this consciousness. So you see it maybe happen. And then you see maybe somewhere, just like any tension, you see that at some level it's a decision. And the response is a decision. And then if you're tapped in, going real slow with your breathing or your mindset, like you're meditating, you're deep, calm, whatever, and you may see the decision, you may choose a different decision.
Like, I wonder if in that space is where our like free will actually resides. Because I feel like so much of what we do throughout our day is just like fucking programmed responses after like just automatic fucking responses.
Man, it's like I see a sewing machine and it's going, and that's what our conditioning has done with our free will. It has sewn our free will into our karmic samsaras. Like we just behave on these patterns because our attention and our free will, because our free will is we always have free will, but it's been sewn into our mind so that we're attached to our mind, and our free will is just attached to our behavior circuits or whatever. And then we separate a little bit on some occasions and we start trying to unstitch ourselves from fucking minds that we've been, it's kind of what I see when I hear that. Arslan's like, yeah, my brother, yeah. Dropping bombs. I almost said praise Allah. Would that be blasphemic if I was like praise Allah? No, of course not. Right? Even though I'm not Muslim, I can say that. Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right. Okay. What else? Do the audience have any questions? Gatherings, people are about to appear here for gathering. Alien Tech. Talk about the next event too. Kenny, what's up? Ken Simmons. Oh, didn't mean to unmute.
Yeah, I didn't mean to unmute, but no, the yoga is really helping with the beasting. I just want to comment on that.
Yeah, what parts? What parts of yoga help specifically?
Ooh,
And Kenny's hella beast, by the way. Kenny goes balls out on calisthenics for 2 years, rock hard. So so that's Kenny. For guys, because everybody, this is goes on an audio recording, so just so they know who Kenny is.
Honestly, I'm just doing YouTube right now, dude. I'm gonna actually sign up today for the sorcery, so I'm looking forward to that. And then you also posted the free yoga, so
yeah, whichever.
I'm checking that out. But I'm all about
I would
the
recommend do the free yoga. I would totally recommend do the free yoga. You're in the group. The playlist is right there. The yoga for sorcery is Gavin's here getting private attention on his understanding of yoga because he's in yoga for sorcery. He's participating. He's showing up for class. And hell yeah, Josiah is the same thing. And so it's they get coached through yoga because they show up live. And there's 12 other guys that are signed up, or 14 other guys. I don't know how many, but I think it's 14 or 15. And they watch recordings or whatever. They like one thing and they just do it over and over and over and they keep paying the membership for it. Fine. I get paid for my expertise because if you're going to do something over and over and over, that's where the benefit of a good teacher comes in, because anybody can enjoy a yoga class maybe once, but you don't have enough awareness to see in your body that it's imbalancing you because maybe not doing a balanced yoga routine. It's not a balanced yoga sequence. Do it over and over again. It may imbalance you, create something, I have a big mindfulness for injury. I dislike with a passion injury if it's unnecessary. I like getting injured. No, I don't like getting injured ever. I was going to say in battle or fight or whatever, I like getting bruised up, but I don't like getting injured. That's just it was too weak. My technique was too weak, or my body was too weak. And I should have built up more slowly and refined my technique. And then I can do everything. I can throw my leg behind my head and bounce around and levitate and nothing gets injured is the idea. It's an ideal, So specifically with you were saying yoga helps. So I was wondering what movement or what's helped in your beasting, if you can recall.
Honestly, it's
because you were doing other people's yoga videos. That's why. So
yeah, that's why I just want to stick to your yoga class, because you're an expert.
Have you ever done?
You're an expert. Just the ones on YouTube.
Oh.
And then I also bought the.
Yeah, you did.
I think it's the 36 poses or something of yoga or something. I don't know the exact name of it, but
yeah.
I've done yoga. I actually started a week ago, and I'm seeing a difference just in my reaction, how I'm thinking now. My mind is much clearer.
Yeah.
Like Gavin was saying too, the body, I could feel like a knot just slowly untie in my body. I'm feeling looser too, I'm feeling more agile. But my thing is it's just more the mental. My mind is clear.
Telling you, the next levels is learning to breathe in sync with your movement and keeping hold of that breath meditation throughout for many minutes, so that each breath is conscious. Inhale, exhale through the nose if you can. Inhale, exhale as you're stretching. And combine that with doing it on your own. When you do it on your own and you can hear yourself breathe, that's where you're going to tap in. There's going to be this biofeedback that happens where you're listening to your breathing while you're trying to do this like kind of dance movement, whatever it is. And it's sensational. And there's so much, but you do wherever what interests you. You play music, you don't have to worry about the breath, you can just like stretch, you go wherever level you're at. But I'm telling you that because we've got people at different levels here. Even if you're not doing any kind of aggressive movement, if you're just like lightly stretching, there is a natural I want to say synchronicity. There's a sinking. Maybe see, that's a weird word because it's like a sinking ship, but it's like sinking your watch, sinking up to the international clock or whatever. Like that's a word too, but it's a homophone, so it's sinking. So anyway, synchronizing. Oh, that's the word. Maybe synchronizing your movement with your breath is just going to be so powerful for unlocking those knots and giving power to your movement and tapping you into your center of gravity. Your breath becomes an engine that pushes your body because of how it expands your ribs and moves your limbs naturally. And, now it's just kind of in sync for me, like naturally. And so when you get there, because that's just a physical thing, it's a very tangible physical thing that you just get. Like if you learn the guitar, here's the C chord, you finger here, finger here, finger here. Pretty soon you've memorized it so that a few times later you've like got the C chord and like play a C chord on this one, boom. And if you had a good teacher, then a teacher also told you what those notes were. And so you know what a C chord is. It's like ding, ding, ding. Gavin was like going to be hella impressed if I said what the notes were, but I forget what the fucking notes are. I don't know. Like a C, E, A or something. I don't know. So this is like a mindset of the yoga. And I don't want to overtalk. I already did. What can I say less? I'm just inspired by talking about the biomechanics and the movement, the bones, the muscles, the nervous system, all the systems. We should do a podcast on the systems of the body. But that would just be like a lecture. Maybe in the silent flute or something. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? We got Tony's posting the links to the Genius to join. I think all these guys are in the Telegram. But yeah, leave a review if you've never left a review for the show on Apple or Spotify or anywhere. We're getting a lot of people on Stitcher. And,
hey, Yogi
Google.
Chris, I have a question. So what kind of, I know this might be off subject, but like what's some of the main poses to focus on, like in yoga, just for like the basics? Or is that asking too much?
I think I would just go to the poses that I see myself doing a lot. And I've also achieved a certain level of flexibility so that even though I don't stretch much anymore, like I was telling AZD, I'm real stiff right now. There are poses that I can do that like you just might not be able to do, like down dog. Down dog might be really challenging for you, but down dog is like right in my range of motion. Perfect. So I think that number one pose is going to be able to lay down and relax on a wood floor and just lay there until your bones relax. That's called Shavasana. So that's like the number one pose. And the next top pose is probably, I would say definitely like, down dog or some variation of down dog with bent legs, bent knees, bent arms, whatever. And then I would also say, because I'm judging like where you're at and your tension and whatever. So I would say being able to lay on your back and twist your spine with your legs. Real important. But you can overdo that, but I think that's, you can overdo anything. I think that the most important things right now for me, and maybe you in modern man, is opening the hands and the wrists and forearms and the feet and the calves, because the foot arch has really not been doing well living in shoes, and the hands are holding phones and things all day. So it just like closes. So I think that there's things to do with the hands and wrists that are not necessarily poses per se. It's a good question, really.
No, that
I think
answers-
that I don't, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that answers my question. No, because the main thing that I like doing is the down dog, to be honest with you, because I feel like a lot of just it's like pain, but it's good pain when I do
Okay.
it. So
Just visualize your bones. When you do down dog, visualize your bones, every bone in your body. Look at a picture of a skeleton and see your bones and memorize that a little bit with your imagination, not the names of them. That'll do great for that. Well, yeah, what's up, Gavin and Josiah?
I was just gonna add to that real quick. I don't know if it's because my hips are so tight or whatever, but one of the poses that I'm getting a lot out of are the warrior poses. Those seem, something about those seems to really like connect me with the spot between the brow whenever I'm doing those.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, one of my favorite, most ecstatic early yoga experiences was in a warrior 2 pose. And man, just the pop and the alignment. And I felt myself go like Egyptian style. Like I saw the lines of my body just like in my mind's eye. And it was like nice. And then I learned, yeah, I mean, those warrior stances, especially warrior 2 and, side angle that comes from that. That's such a powerful thing. That's a good point, Kenny Simmons. Warrior 2. Warrior 2 is a very important pose for you and for everybody. All right. Josiah. What's up?
Yeah, Yogi Chris. I want to know if you can go over the benefits of relaxing your tongue, because I watched a few YouTube videos on yoga, but none of those videos ever even mentioned anything about relaxing your tongue. But when you do, it's a mix of.
I think I have one or two. They're in there. Relax the tongue. I don't know exactly. It's such an interesting phenomenon. Do you really want to hear about it, or are you just saying that as like to get me to talk about it?
No, I think that's the thing, like everybody. Oh man, it's good doing poses and breathing syncopation, but if you're not dropping your tongue, there's still that tension.
I don't know. Well, let me say about it then. This is like one of those magic things that like I did not discover it. I discovered for myself the profoundness of it and have been expressing the profoundness of it since I learned it. And that's what I haven't noticed other people express the profoundness of it. Like nobody seems to make a big deal about it. There's a few people that I've noticed like talk about it. The guy I learned Ashtanga from, who's kind of gay. I think he might be like gender confused or something. It's weird. I mean, the thing is the way he handles as a teacher, he's a really good teacher, like super good. And I think sometimes he's just pressing buttons. So, and proving a point, but it's not the kind of point that I think needs to be proven in this day and age. I think he's pleasing women. I doubt that he's actually gay. I think he's just hella beta. But his yoga is super dope. And when he teaches, he's like a very good teacher. Like I don't want to say ideal, but I fucking dug it. I learned so much and healed so much because I had misconceptions about the body. There's layers to this stuff. So he more than anybody talked about a mudra called Kachari mudra. Kachari mudra was said to be the king of all mudra. It was junior only to prostration to the teacher. So when you prostrate or honor the teacher, that was the number one mudra. And then next to that, the number one mudra was Kachari mudra. Kachari mudra had, all kinds of super secret practices where they would like stretch the tongue and cut the tongue until you could touch the third eye with your tongue, pull it, whatever. And so it's one of my most popular YouTube videos talking about Kachari mudra. It keeps getting hundreds of views every day. But so my teacher broke down the Sanskrit and what it means, and really that's just a perverted, distorted interpretation of the actual practice, which is like Now later, I heard this guy say in a yoga class once, and I took like 3 or 4 yoga classes from him, and he said, drop the tongue. And I just latched on to that sentence and took it. And then I combined that with Kachari Mudra, which was to make space in the back of the palate. So relax the tongue. And then, so I would tell myself that all the time, and I would say it in yoga classes, and people would like, and I developed other ways to describe it, like to unsuction the teeth, let go of the teeth with your tongue. And then I would start philosophizing on it. And I'd start talking about like, if the tongue is moving, the mind is thinking. A gripping tongue is a thinking mind. You got something to say? That's why your tongue is gripping. You're thinking something. And I would say things like, if you're not talking or chewing food, why is your tongue moving? And I would teach people how to breathe, and I would show them how they are breathing with their tongue. There's tongue tension because they've learned to breathe with their neck and throat instead of their diaphragm. And so all these things combine, and there's this profound thing that happens when you learn to relax your tongue, which, I mean, do all the yoga I'm sharing with you, because you're going to be better at relaxing your tongue when you stretch out your body and do these things that I'm telling you. That's like a pinnacle thing that I keep going back to it, because it's like very easy gateway into the nervous system. Relax the nervous system through the tongue is one way. There's a few ways. There's a lot of ways. Man, I should talk more about yoga, dude. I like talking about it, but it's not. It's like a hobby. It's like talking about guitar. I could talk about this guitar over here and all the alternative tunings that I do on it, and the songs, and how awesome these rhythm changes are, and like this is the best song in the world. I probably have more to say about yoga than guitar, but it's kind of like, I see it as like a hobby. It's a hobby for me. And yet it's so profound. Like somebody was saying here on Instagram, they commented, can you say that in-between space is the real you? We were talking about the in-between space from stimulus response, that in-between space. The me is the observer. See, there's dualistic thinking and there's non-dualistic thinking. So non-dualistic would say, I'm not me observing it. I am nothing. The observation is just happening in the mind. And when it's done, it's gone. And I can hold on to it in my mind. And it's a falseness of language. And then they'd have to go into all this wordplay about I am not holding on to it. My mind holds on to it. But my mind means my mind. So it belongs to someone. Who does it belong? So it's like this, it goes into that whole mind fuckery. And the dualistic thinking is just, I am the observer of the stimulus response. I'm the observer of all things. If I can detach from it, I am the, dimensionless, spaceless, massless, energyless, frequencyless nothingness of observation, the soul. That's like dualistic. And I forgot why I was talking about that. But the tongue is so cool because as you relax, you see more body things going on. So you start to separate from like tension, unconscious body tension, separate. And it's amazing what thoughts are associated with that body tension. Like you'll let go thinking of something you didn't even know you were thinking about. Yeah. Okay. Anything else from my special guests, Josiah, Gavin, beasting, anybody that's beasting or yoga and beasting? Body awareness, things happening.
Well, I just want to say that for anyone who's watching, if they haven't tried yoga yet, especially under Yogi Chris, then you should give it a try, especially with his program. Like, yeah.
Fuck yeah. Any girls, you can sign up at Silent Flute. Guys, you can go to my free yoga Telegram. You just message me on Telegram. There's a link in the description for this recording. Or if you're on live right now, just message me, however you know me. And I guess that's it. Any last words, anybody? Appreciate Gavin and Josiah being on, sharing their experience. Kenny contributing, everybody that contributed. Shout out to Tony hosting these episodes and encouraging everyone to leave reviews. All right. That's it then. All right. The gathering's about to start here, everybody. On the recording, you can also check that out at imcbase1.com. My yoga website is ninthlimb.com, and I'll see everybody on the next episode.